And I'd been to Auschwitz just a few years before 10/7. I must have been 24, so about 5 years before 10/7. And it was just, I really don't, I think if I hadn't had that trip, I don't know if, I'm sure I would have felt it, but I think this gave me a whole new level. That was the most emotional trip of my entire life. And it's interesting because it was one of those trips that hit me the most afterwards.
Right. How long after?
It was like I came back and I planned to start working, within a day, and I could not work I had to take a full week off work. I was just in, my room crying, and I started watching more movies like Schindler's List. I'd actually never seen Schindler's List, and really I started learning more about my grandparents and what they had done, and just become more, and looking at old photos of them and things they were involved in, and it just hit me so close. And then one of the biggest moments that I thought about immediately, it was like within minutes of hearing about with 10/7. So I met the biggest moment, it was the most impactful moment of my life, by the way, was I'm in Auschwitz, I'm at Birkenau, and this I believe he was 96, maybe 95, this old man in a wheelchair stops me in my tracks as I'm walking. He's being pushed in a wheelchair by his grandson. And he stops me. His name is Menachem Mendel. And he stops me, and he grabs my hand, and he looks at me, and he just is quiet for a second. And he says, "You look like my brother." And I said, "Oh, thank you. Who's your brother? Tell me more about him." And he said, "My brother died here at this camp. I was the only survivor of my entire family, and this is my first time back here, ever. It was always too emotional for me. I could never go back. And, I'm in my mid-90s now, and I know this was, first of all, I can't even believe he got on a plane, by the way, that far. Like, that's insane." And he said, I have to come see this. And he starts crying, and I start crying, and someone in my group filmed this, and I had no clue until after. But it was one of those moments where, so he starts crying, I start crying. I looked him in the eyes, and I said, "I promise I will do everything I can to make sure nothing like this ever happens again." And I said that, and I meant it, but I meant it at the version of time we were in, which was 5 years before 10/7.
Yeah.
And the second I started hearing about the news that morning, immediately I remembered that promise I made to him. And I would say more than anything, I would say that is something I think about almost every day.